Okay, so it's time to do some tooling. The first thing I'm going to do is put a piece of cellophane over my leather, a single layer as flat as I can get it, no wrinkles. This is going to keep the moisture from coming off the leather and into my tracing paper. Because if the moisture gets into the tracing paper, it'll warp, distort, wrinkle, all the bad stuff. But we don't want the cellophane to present us any issues either, so we have to be real careful to try to keep it pretty straight and flat. Fortunately, I think this piece has seen better days. I actually just ran out, so I don't have any more, so I'll have to make do. If I did have more, I would get a new piece right now, because this is not great, but I think I can make it work. Just have to be careful is all. Yeah, you can tape it down if you need to. I don't think I need to. This is not an extremely complex design, so should be okay. I'm just gonna lay the trace over top of my leather like this. Now what I'm not gonna do is just trace this wholesale, because we already know that it's out of alignment. I wanna move it over to the right somewhat, and also I want to rotate it a little. So I'm not gonna just trace this straight on. What I am gonna do is I'm gonna mark out the boundaries where I will eventually put, well, you'll see, I'll put an edge on there, a border. So I'm going to mark out the border so that I can draw that in. And I'm going to mark out the locations of these belts, because they are set. I don't think I'm definitely not going to be moving them. I like them where they're at. So I'm going to go ahead and mark those in so that I can keep track of where they're at, and then I can set the artwork right in the middle. I can scribe the edge of the belt. It may show, because the edge may not, the edge may actually be rounded, so that the scribe that I draw there might actually show. So I think what I would rather do is just put a dot right in the middle of where the belt will be, because that'll be covered up for sure. Like there's 100% chance that that's going to be permanently covered, so I'm not too worried about that. Same here. I think next what I'll do is get my ruler 6 inches between those two dots. So I want the center of my artwork to be at the 3-inch mark. I can see the dots through the tracing paper. I'll slide this way until I'm happy with it. And also I'll try to focus on now on the leather and try to position this to where I think it's going to be centered and rotated accordingly. I think that's pretty good. Also pretty darn good. I think I'll move it just slightly this way, and that's going to be it. Now this is a relatively simple artwork, but just the same, as I draw, this tracing paper is going to stretch and distort, so I want to try to make sure that I'm drawing from in to out, so that it all distorts in the same manner. I don't want it to be longer this side and shorter this side, or fall out of alignment or what have you. I think I'll start here. I'll use the ball side. This stylus comes to a point on one end and a ball on the other. The ball is a lot easier for tracing images, because the point wants to dig into the paper and tear it. The point does give you much crisper results, obviously, because it's a point. It also allows you to put an enormous amount of pressure where the ball, it's surprising, it's a small difference, but it makes a big difference. It's a small difference in the tool, but it makes a big difference to its utility. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. You can go off a little bit, because we're going to be touching this up with our swivel knife and our tools. But the more off we go, the harder it is going to be to touch up, and the more work it's going to take. So precision is helpful here, for sure. Right, now the eyes. I think I'm going to use the points for this. to use the point on this kind of a on tracing paper, just never push forward. Always drag it, and you'll be fine. I'm going to drag it up. I'm going to drag it down. Now I've gotten to where I want to push it this way, right? So that's going to dig in. So I'm going to reposition and drag it instead. There we go. Same here. Down. That's kind of borderline. And then drag. Unfortunately, I've cut a hole in my tracing paper, but it served its purpose. It's good enough. Now I want to position my disc. Look for the overlap. I want those horns to be in the front, and I do not want a line over them. And then I'll just trace. And when in doubt, leave a gap. You can always fill that gap in with just freehand. And always double check, make sure you like what you see, you don't miss anything. I think we're good. It's a pretty basic image, to be honest. It's not complex. And there's our image. Fill this in here. There, cool. Now, I mentioned a border. Here's how I want to do that. What I'm going to do is get my wing dividers. I'm just going to set these to this width. I don't even need to know what the width is. Just set it to the width. There we go. And now I can just trace the edge of the piece. Now, I'm a little bit torn with myself over to whether to even do this. I'm not sure it's necessary. I'm not sure I may regret it. Strictly speaking, the border that I'm going to add is going to be another piece of leather layered on top of this. So as long as I create that leather evenly and apply it to this piece evenly, that is to say, line it up, technically I shouldn't need this step. But I'm going to go ahead and do it because I got the leather nice and cased, and because the lines will stand out clearly, which itself may be makes me wonder if that's a good idea. Because maybe I want faint lines. I don't know, but I think, well, heck, I'm just going to go for it. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna just go for it. You need to be very careful in these corners here, these edges. Come up shy. Whenever in doubt, whenever you're not sure, always go shy. Shy. Stop shy, and then you won't regret anything. These corners can be deceptive. You want to keep going, and then when you do, you realize you've gone too far. So sneak up on them. Stop real short, give yourself lots of gaps, eye it, and then sneak up on the corners, because otherwise you'll regret this. You'll regret it. That'll do. That'll do. I did leave some marks. Now the marks are not horrible. They would be a problem. You know, I think I'll try to show you how I would deal with them. If I was tooling this, and if I wasn't going to just simply lay a separate piece of leather over on top of it. My life is going to be made a little easier by the fact that I'm going to just cover this up, literally. Any extraneous marks like this one here, this one here, I'm not worried about those. I will be later if my plan to cover them up doesn't work, but as of right now, I'm not worried about them. But for the sake of the video, I'll show you what I would do if I was planning to tool the border. You know, I wonder if I should run like a camouflage along that border anyways. Don't know. I'll think about it. Don't know. But regardless, I'll show you how I would plan to clean that up. It's not perfect. The better answer is to not make the mistake at all. But what you do is you get a spoon stylus. You just gently rub that out, and it mostly will go away. Very, very gently. Mostly. Doesn't quite go. Rarely did you completely get rid of it, and only if you had a really light hand to begin with. But it makes it almost unnoticeable. There. Not too bad. Okay. Now for the fun. I'm going to get a swivel knife and begin to cut this shape out.